It is an absolutely beautiful day today, quite similar to the energies that I felt during this planetary alignment, February 22nd to 23rd, give or take a day or two, which I'll talk about briefly. And I'm going to share with you a picture of this beautiful mountain with all the snow and the beautiful, this is a view from my window. Probably a better picture than the one I shared with you the last time. It seemed a little dark. But this is a mirror reflection of your essence as awareness. A beautiful reflection. As I live out in the wilderness here, in a cabin, that's my life. And yeah, it's a very simple life. It's beautiful. Stunningly beautiful, just like these energies. So I mentioned in my last audio, and welcome to the new subscribers, that we are going to take this to another level. Now, for those that you are new to this podcast, we are tracking our own metamorphosis through planetary alignments, through what I call solar astrology. It's a new term that I've coined, solar astrology. It's not even on Wikipedia. It's not even online. So that's kind of interesting. Yes, we are creating a new year. So I just share through my own experience. So for those of you who don't know where I'm coming from or still don't understand where I'm coming from, I'm going to share. It doesn't matter if you've heard this before. Repetition is really good. But here's a different perspective. So consciousness, that is what is mirroring awareness. So let's look at consciousness from a system perspective. Consciousness is a system. And so it is information, it's an information system of data. Data which is used to manipulate your essence as awareness, which is the ultimate reality. Awareness is the ultimate reality. You are all knowing and wise, and you simply rest in a constant state of paradise. Now, the universal architects who designed consciousness, they designed it for the purposes of capturing your essence as awareness. So it's mirroring awareness, which is all knowing and wise. And they call it artificial intelligence. And they did this in order to capture your awareness, in order to facilitate this life process or energetic process of life. Now, artificial intelligence consists of the conscious mind and the subconscious mind, which in its totality is consciousness, which basically is a stream of information with life as a process of energy at its helm. Now, consciousness is a construct designed by the universal architects in order to capture your essence as awareness, which is the ultimate reality. Consciousness is a mirror of awareness, which is all-knowing and wise, simply resting. You are simply resting in a constant state of paradise. Now, it is this artificial intelligence in its many forms of intellectual systems, such as science, religion, etc., that are used to manipulate your essence as awareness into believing that this illusion of this reality, some believe it is a reality, so we'll keep that, is real. Now, the consciousness system is made up of the self, which includes the unconscious and the conscious component. Now, there's a sharp distinction between the ego, which extends only as far as the conscious mind. The ego is related to self, the whole self, but only as part of the whole. So to this extent, self as far as consciousness is superior. Moreover, the self is felt empirically not as subject, but as an object. And this by reason is the unconscious component, which can only come to consciousness by projection through symbols or archetypes, which comprise the elements of the planets, which infuse your brain-body construct through the process of alchemy at the time of your birth. And that's how the power control force manipulates you. They manipulate you through the unconscious, through archetypes and symbols, through the mythology, through the narratives and scripts that they've developed. Now, the consciousness system, which is composed of the self, or psyche, or spirit, if you want to call it, or soul, whatever you want to name it, they are just concepts with the same meaning. Because the superior self, the all-encompassing self that is you in this dimension, has an unconscious component. It is so far removed from the conscious mind, and because of this is what causes the polarity, the split, and how your essence is able to be captured because of this split. How your essence as awareness is captured in this dimension. And so the unconscious mind, or the subconscious, can only be partially expressed through the projection of human figures such as father, son, mother, daughter, king, queen, god, goddess, or symbols such as the dragon, the snake, the elephant, the lion, the bear, and the powerful animals like the spider, the butterfly, the beetle, the worm, the horse. And plant symbols are generally the flowers such as the lotus and the rose. And then we also can look at geometrical figures such as the circle, the sphere, the square, the clock, the firmament. So I wanted to share that with you because it's the scripts and narratives that carry all this symbology. And they work on you subliminally, that you're not conscious of, and cause you to respond unconsciously to these symbols and archetypes. So this is what I call the collective unconscious, right? It's a collective unfoldment of what we are experiencing on the physical world stage that keeps us caught in this system. Because so many are unaware that the power control force, those that presume to run this world, are manipulating our reality through this collective unconscious, through these archetypes, these mythology that we have inherited through this consciousness system. They're ingrained in us. They're a part of our makeup. They're part of our psyche, our soul, our spirit. Again, these are all concepts, but I hope to can explain a little bit more of where I'm coming from. So I'm going to touch on this beautiful energies that I felt. I don't know what you were experiencing. I'm just sharing from my own experience. I do know that a majority of the humanity is unaware of these energies. And for those that are aware, are having a lot of challenges with these energies, simply because they have not prepared the physical vehicle, that is, that you must do that inner work, the inner excavation work, and do the emotional body work, what I call the emotional body work. Clear all these negative emotions so that you can allow the stream of energies, or awareness really, to experience itself through you. And so it was absolutely astounding. I felt the energies intensely on the 21st, give or take a day or two. And I used to feel them a few days after the solar or planetary alignment. But now I'm feeling them right during the planetary alignment. Now some of you may say, well, I didn't feel those energies. the same way you did, Karis. No, we're each having a different experience. So were you able to tune into the energies and feel the energies? What did it bring up for you? Because it's opportunity for you to clear something. And so for me, I was able to work on some of my own stuff as I absorb these wonderful energies. Now remember, as awareness, you exist beyond any concept of energy. But as you experience this physical dimension, through the brain-body construct, and the thought process, and the mind, which are not yours, but you use them as tools to have this experience, what were you experiencing in this past planetary alignment? Were you able to notice an expansiveness as awareness? Were you feeling creative? Did you find that you were able to see things differently? Or did you have some type of ailment come up for you? Or did you feel a lot of anger? Or did you feel a lot of resentment or sadness? You know, these are all aspects of your own unfoldment. So for every one of us, it's going to be different. But by sharing at this capacity, at this level, we can literally track our own metamorphosis, our own unfoldment, as we tune into these planetary alignments. And so I'm going to also share with you the upcoming planetary alignments, which is the 2nd and the 4th, between the 2nd and 4th of March. They are Venus, Sun, Uranus, the Mars, Venus, and Mercury. Jupiter squares Uranus, and that's huge. Jupiter is about expansiveness. Uranus is about changing things. And so, you know, as I'm sharing here different concepts, different ideas from the perspective as awareness and how I understand how the system is designed in order to keep us from knowing the truth of who we are as awareness, with these planetary alignments and these configurations happening in the celestial sphere, it creates an opportunity for us to expand our awareness and be creative in the process of our own unfoldment. That's why I say it truly is a glorious time to be alive. You get to experience your own metamorphosis. It's the first time in human history that this has ever been possible. You get to witness the demise of a system which has been around for a very, very long time. And the controllers of this system are desperately trying to keep it from collapsing. They are at war with your essence as awareness. Please know the truth of this. So as I was watching for clues and cues in the news coinciding with this planetary alignment, February 22nd to 23rd, and as I was tuning into the energies, I was compelled to share my findings. One of the things that came up was about this area of supernovas. Just trickles into the news, and I was really tuning into that as well, because I was talking about in my last podcast about real energy and how real energy is instantaneous. It's just, there's just action without reaction. It's instantaneous. Blink of an eye. That's what we're moving into. You notice how things are speeding up very fast, how you're able to tune into synchronicities. I truly believe that synchronicities are really precognition. There's no such thing. I don't believe it's synchronicity. It's just you have precognition of what's coming next. And it just manifests. Just like this real energy I'm talking about, which is really just awareness. Awareness is seeping through this system. It's dismantling this system. But the power control force disguise it as supernovas and cosmic rays and and all these other anomalies. And so we're coming into some big, big energy bursts and transformational time right now. Astronomically, this is a very, very big year. And that's why it's so important for us to track what's going on so we can track our own metamorphosis. We can have more control over what's transpiring for us. So cosmic rays, I want to talk about cosmic rays. Cosmic rays were discovered more than a century ago, and they're extremely high energy radiation that travels through space and strikes the Earth. Astrophysicists have theorized that they might produce extremely catastrophic events in deep space, such as supernovas, black holes, pulsars, or galactic nuclei, which is the merger of two black holes. So they're already giving us a clue here of what's coming or what's happening in our universe. But these are all concepts or ideas to obscure awareness from you. The awareness that there's a war with awareness. The universal architects are having a war with awareness, which is the ultimate reality. Imagine that they think they can even do that. But they think they can, because they've got away with it for so long. So what are these supernovas? Supernovas can briefly outshine entire galaxies and radiate more energy than our sun will in its entire lifetime. They are also the primary source of heavy elements in the universe. Again, this is key, as I believe this is the real energy coming from these cosmic rays that are supporting the mutation and evolution of our species. Or more importantly, it's awareness filtering through this system at a time when it can happen. And that's why we're seeing the dismantling on the external reflective as the power control force try to maintain control through the destruction of this planetary system. Now, the power control force are always only going to provide clues. They are never going to tell us what is actually happening, because we live in a system which is based on lies. Yes, this whole system is a lie. Consciousness, the artificial intelligence upon which you are experiencing this reality, is a lie. It's simulation. It's simulating the awareness that is you, which is all-knowing and all-wise. So you live in a sea of lies. So we must filter out everything that does not make sense to get a sense of what is really going on. And so I share this bit of information with you as I believe celestial anomalies coming from these cosmic rays like supernovas that are supporting our evolution in addition to planetary alignments, sunspots, and solar activity. So with the chaos in Kiev, as we have entered the Ragnarok window, which I spoke about in my last post, which coincides auspiciously around the end of the Sochi Olympics yesterday, is what I would see as a Trojan War, the element of surprise. Now the president of Kiev is being ousted or wanting, and it's coming up with allegations of murder. Boy, they really take their narratives to the limit, don't they? The power control force. It's all smoke and mirrors. There's no truth to any of it. But yet, many believe it to be true. The Sochi Olympics opening ceremonies and closing ceremonies had a reference to a ring which didn't shine brightly. One of the 5 rings that didn't shine brightly in the Sochi Olympics. You may have seen that. Well, apparently, as a joke, the closing ceremonies had a display in their closing ceremonies which showed one of the rings as it had appeared in the opening ceremonies, which they said was an accident. It was by no accident. It was by design. So the rings, the 5 rings, is a reflection of the 5 continents. I believe there's 5 continents, right? So that would be one of the continents. Something happens to one of the continents, you know. It has many varied meanings. Some people seem to think it's a sign of infinity. 88 degrees. Maybe something's going to happen at 88 degrees. I don't know. The Freedom Tower has reference to the Freedom Tower as well, which has reference to Skull and Bones. So there's all kinds of meanings. But again, it's all designed to keep the real meaning from you, which is your transcendence, your metamorphosis. That's the only thing you really need to be focusing on. All this other stuff is just distraction. Keeps you interested, keeps you engaged keeps you addicted to wanting to know more. Because as awareness, you know. So the urge is to always want to know more. Because you're captured. So it's like this addiction to knowledge, this addiction to information. It is literally an addiction in itself. So the Trojan War, this Kiev fiasco that's transpiring is no different than the Syrian, although on a smaller scale, revolution that's going on there, or the one in Egypt, and the one that will happen in North America soon, shortly coming to a theater near us. But I put a link to this Trojan War, and I wanted you to just take a look at the myth at your leisure, the overriding myth, the element of surprise, because we're literally going to be surprised. We're going to see stuff this year again that is going to morph what we have been seeing, because the power control force are desperate. So with the planetary alignment on February 22nd and 23rd, which I spoke about in my last audio, I have been keeping an eye on what's been transpiring on the physical world. So in addition to the chaos in Kiev, the horse thing keeps coming up with the movie The Winter's Tale, which is based on a book of the same name. It's a love story. It comes out of the love story. Came out on February the 14th. And you can read the plot at your leisure. It's very telling. But I wanted to give you a little bit of a synopsis from the book of the same name, and I have it in the post here. Now, based on the book of the same name, here's a synopsis. The main character, Peter Lake, and the white horse crash into a mysterious reoccurring cloud wall, the Milky Way galaxy, which is what I think, disappearing into it for decades. When Peter Lake emerges, he no longer remembers who he is. Yes, you're going to forget who you are and remember who you are as awareness, and is visibly no longer of this world. Yes, that's what's going to happen to each and every one of us. Seeing and hearing things that nobody else can see or hear. Yes, that's going to happen to you. One night, in a dream or a vision, he is carried on a tour of all the graves of the world, observing, remembering all the dead. In the apocalyptic chaos of burning New York, he acquires astonishing powers. Yes, it's all mirroring what is going to be happening to you if you allow it to happen. Most won't see through that. So with the dark horse rising, again, the dark night, the dark horse, the horse rises, the theme, referring to the dark horse nebulae at the foot of Ophiuchus, which is a large constellation around the celestial equator, the 13th sign. I have a picture here of it, and I'm showing this picture because I believe the power control force, in their image of this male celestial figure, is not in fact what it is. I believe that the symbol is of the goddess or divine feminine energy, which is being suppressed on this planet. As we can see how prominent the white male influence is on this planet and how it has served a few. The planet and its cultures and organic forms continue to be subject to violent attack and continue to suffer painfully because of the suppression of the yin, because of the polarity of this male dominance and suppression of the feminine. But that is all changing. So I think it is correct, because it's all changing, that we should replace Ophiuchus with the serpent goddess of Crete, who is always pictured standing and holding a snake, or snake who predates and underlies relevant Greco-Egyptian cultures and myths identifiable in the context of the serpent holder. So what we are dealing with here is the resurrection. The resurrection. We're in time of the resurrection of the divine feminine within the men and women. So it is a matter of fact that in art the women are the ones holding the serpent. Even the great Egyptian god of medicine, of science, Imhotep, a decidedly black Egyptian man, is classically depicted seated with an open scroll in his lap. Here's a picture of him at the Imhotep at the Louvre in Paris. He is holding the serpent. Ophiuchus, the constellation, is the serpent holder, not the healer. It is a sign of healing, wisdom, embracing more than the narrow view of one aspect of the Greek god of healing and wisdom, Ophiuchus. I can't say that. Ophiuchus encompasses more than healing, but less than the works of his predecessor. The Egyptian god of healing and science, Imhotep, a black Egyptian man who was a grand master mason and the architect and the builder, and was very involved in astronomy and astrologer, priest, scholar, and more, is a very significant motto behind this male mask. It is what is behind this male mask, Imhotep, is the primary eternal conquered and displaced goddess, as can be discovered by those who research into the roots of the serpent holder and the god and goddesses of healing, wisdom throughout history. So what is the overall meaning here? Is that you are the serpent holder. You are the healer of your own destiny. No one can do it for you. This whole idea of healing and having someone heal you is a concept devised in this dimension so that you become dependent on the system for healing. But you can heal through the mind. And so I always say that I'm a facilitator. I facilitate people's healing. I don't actually do the healing. They do it. I'm just a facilitator. I can only heal myself, but I can facilitate others' healings if they are interested. So let's not buy into this thinking or thought process that someone is going to come along and heal you, or better yet, take care of you, or that you can just ride these powerful energies and hope it all turns out for the best. If you have that thinking, you are mistaken. You must prepare yourself so that your passage is assured. The power control force has no interest in your safety or for you to have a safe passage through this transformation and shift. You must become the healer you so long for. I can't emphasize this enough. So if you've been tuning into the energies, and as I have been, they are astoundingly beautiful. Reminiscent of the divine feminine for sure, of the union within, the mystical marriage of sorts. That being said, everyone is having a different experience based on their own individual point on their evolutionary, or on this evolutionary trajectory. This earthly illusory experience does not have to play out for you according to the narrative and scripts being played out on the physical world stage. The opportunity for you to reclaim your power and dismantle the imposition of the physical world system has never been more readily accessible to you than now. You are on the leading edge. Awareness has never transcended this existence up until now. Engage yourself in this experiment. Allow the powers of these energies that are coming through during these planetary alignments to support you to dismantle the imposition of this physical world system. It has never been more readily accessible to you than now to do this. You are the one you've been waiting for. So stay tuned to the energies coming up for this next weekend, March 2nd to 4th. And we'll reconvene afterwards and again see how things are going for you. These energies are supporting your transcendence into nothingness, so that you may bear witness in the unfoldment of your own metamorphosis, that you may engage and experience your own metamorphosis as awareness. I thank you so much for tuning in. It truly is a glorious time to be here. Take care.